Welcome to Dyersville, Iowa. Welcome to the Field of Dreams. I'm sitting here with a legend. Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, Atlanta Braves, Cy Young Award winner, World Series champion, John Smoltz. I'm so happy to have you, man, on the Cain Podcast.
This is pretty cool. And this place is pretty cool, so what better place to do it from?
I don't know any other way to have a conversation, John, than to have it authentically. You and I, just moments ago, before we started recording this conversation, were talking about what makes the movie Field of Dreams so special. Joey Votto, Cincinnati Red, had an awesome set of tweets where he said it was about the movie and it is about baseball, his relationship with his father, who he lost 14 years ago. And as the movie suggests, everyone would love to have just one more catch. And then you laid something on me 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. No, I lost my dad this morning, and it's the memories that I'm at so much peace because now he'll be at peace. And he's a guy that loved life, loved people, loved to laugh, loved to learn, and I kind of lived through all the things that he taught me. He's the most competitive guy I've ever been around. We played games all the time, but the game of baseball he grew to love. It wasn't his forte. He was a musician, and so I started to follow in his footsteps, and the musician that I was kind of trying to aspire to be was an accordion player, which is kind of a dying art, but at 4 through 7 I played it, but you know what? He let me play baseball at the age of 7, and he never missed a game. He showed me what truly being a passionate parent is all about, a loving parent, and that'll live through me forever. And so tonight's game will be special in more than one way because everything that I did, I told my mom, I said, I will never forget the look on his face on the first row at the Hall of Fame when I was giving my speech. That will be indebted in me forever because I could see the sense of how proud he was.
So first, thank you. Thank you for not only sharing that, but being here with me today. I'm stunned that you lost your dad literally this morning, and you're here talking with me and here to call this game. I don't know what else to say except I'm sorry and thank you.
Well, he would want me. This is who he's about. He would be so mad if I didn't show up. I mean, he was big on showing up. I showed up every day in baseball. I showed up for work, and he was passionate about it. He watches all the time, and he'd be mad if I didn't show up.
You know, John, I was having a conversation with our colleague, my friend Tom Rinaldi of Fox Sports, and we were talking about what resonates when it comes to movies. We're debating the best movies in sports, and he was asking me, what is it that grabs me emotionally? And I'm like Joey Votto. You know, I love my wife dearly. There are not too many romantic movies that make me misty-eyed. But if you play to that father-son theme, it gets me. And that says something about my relationship with my father. It says something about my relationship with my sons. You said what's burned into your memory is that moment when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'm curious, with that tied to that relationship with your dad, and you take your career, again, World Series, Cy Young, what is the moment that stands out for you?
It's really the things that I thought were stupid when my dad never missed a game and drove 300 miles to come watch a Little League game, you know, and the efforts he went about to be in the stands cheering as loud as anybody. And I realized full circle having now, you know, my own family, 6 kids, 2 grandkids, and that was powerful. You know, it was just a game. And then the big leagues come about, and I can't imagine what that was like for him sitting in the stands watching me pitch Game 7 until I had a daughter playing or a son playing and sitting there going, oh my, that's 10 times more unbelievable. And so I have such appreciation for his passion. It plays out through me in everything that I do, his faith, everything that he taught me. And, you know, I feel like nobody got more out of it. He never met a stranger. And this will basically sum up my dad. When I was in high school and had a chance to be drafted, he made up my first baseball card. I'm like, Dad, you don't have to do that. He goes, no, I'm making it up. And he handed it out everywhere he went. So I met innocent strangers, said, I met your dad. And I said, stop, I know you exactly. Do you have my card? He goes, yeah, I do. And he was very proud of every moment. And he lived every moment as if he was out there on the mound with me. And for that, I'm obviously beyond grateful.
So you tell me your dad is bragging about you and handing out your baseball card. But before that, and you mentioned this earlier, his hope and aspirations for you were for you to be a master at accordion.
That's right. We grew up in an era where Lawrence Welk was on our TV a lot, where he was kind of the icon accordion player. We had polkas being played. that's what my family was known for. And in the lineage of my family, there's some pretty famous accordion players. So there was a lot of pressure on my parents when they found out, the family found out, you're letting him what? Play baseball? And, you know, this is not really a big sports family. We became one, but they let me pursue it and gave me every opportunity. There was every reason for them not to, based on what they knew. But they let go of what they knew and let somebody else teach me something. And they let me share in my passion. And it's one thing I live through my kids. If you have a great passion and it's a good passion, we're going to give you every opportunity to pursue it.
Did any of those kids play accordion?
No. My mom and dad used to say, you've got a couple that are gifted. You should let them play the piano. But it's really unique to watch each of my children grow up and share their own dreams and aspirations.
You got to keep that family lineage going on. You got to find that accordion player. So here we are again. We're sitting here, this site, this movie, and honestly, this game, your game of baseball, it somehow all comes together physically where you and I are sitting.
Yeah. No, it really does. You know, the game's changed, and sports are going to change. The athletes, the generation, what they think about what technology has done to the game. But this raw bleacher and this kind of field that, I mean, to play a youth game yesterday that I got to call reminded me of 41 years ago, just playing baseball with the aspiration and dream. But what's so unique about this place is you play here, and then your city's being represented right across the cornfield, and those kids get to go watch, hopefully, what they get a chance to be one day. And these bleachers represent a lot of sweat equity of my family and my brother and sister watching a game going on. I'm sure they had like, I got to watch another game. But it was like the story untold at that time, what I was going to get to do for my living.
It strips baseball down to its basics, and in that we all find nostalgia. Do you like where baseball is headed?
You know, I think in time we have to judge the space and era that's being played with the adjustments that are coming. And I think there will be some adjustments to shape the game because athletically it's never been more gifted. And the power and the speed and the ability to throw a baseball 100 miles an hour, that's never been at the highest level. But then I think what you look at as a sport is the action representing the athleticism that's on the field. And I think that's lacking a little bit. And there'll be some changes that I hope come to kind of recreate that action. Look, we live in a fast-paced society where people want to have, you know, they have direct connectivity to their phones. And I think from a sports standpoint, if that action picks up again, you're going to see baseball get the attention it once did from the action that, you know, 20 years ago there was.
You talk about that athleticism and that action. Who today, were you standing on the mound and he was standing at the plate, would you, I don't want to say be intimidated because I can't imagine John Smoltz would feel intimidation, but who would you feel like I better have of all the hitters, my A game?
Yeah, the one that comes is obviously Aaron Judge, and when the year he's having, just the imposing figure. You know, we didn't have, I mean, Dave Winfield was one of the bigger players I've faced, and it looks great when the strike zone looks huge when he stands up there, but then you realize how far he can hit the baseball. And I think the players today definitely have the skill set to hit it farther than they've ever hit it. The way they play and the reward system's a little different, but if he were to stand up at the plate, it would be an ultimate challenge. My job when I was on the mound was to never convey that you had the edge on me, and I learned to fake it pretty good, even though there were some guys I didn't like facing.
Who did you not like facing?
Tony Gwynn. He just absolutely, he stood up there, and this is the most amazing, I guess you can talk about era differences. Myself, Pedro Martinez, Tom Glavine, and Greg Mattis faced him about 300 and whatever, over 300 times. We struck him out 3 times.
Really?
That's
the three
it.
of you combined?
Combined. And when combined, we struck out over 12,000 guys. So when you think about his ability to hit, he was the master. Him and Albert Pujols. And yeah, I'm broadcasting at the end of my time where there's very few guys that I faced in the game. And that's about a couple more years from being gone.
How do you fake it? You said you're on the mound. Your job is to convey or not convey to the hitter that he might have the edge. How do you fake it?
You learn to do it. I was taught early on, you know, there would be times where I'm an emotional guy. I like to wear my emotions on my sleeve, but then I was told, hey, look, when you don't have your best stuff, don't give them an edge. And so I learned that I had an Italian grandmother who used to be so upset at me the way I would look and the way I would peer into what she would see the camera. She said, "You look so mean." I said, "Grandma, I got to fake it. I got to fake it because I don't want them to think I'm a good guy." And so I learned how to do that on the mound, and literally it works because I guarantee you, and I say it in my broadcast, somebody has the edge. Who's going to convey that? And if the hitter knows he's got the edge, then that pitcher is going to be less likely for him to be successful.
How much, in your estimation, is that duel, that battle? And look, people say baseball is an individual sport masquerading as a team sport. So I guess I can expand this beyond just the duel between the pitcher and the hitter. How much do you think is about what's happening between the ears? How much is it mental?
Well, there's a ton of it. I would say it's 80%. And the reason I say it's 80%, now it's even more complicated because they have so much information that they're processing. We have the same kind of information, but not as detailed. We needed to know what we needed to know, and we got that. But I think the reality of being on the mound, it's a cat and mouse game of what are you thinking, what are you trying to do, and how do I best execute what I'm trying to do? And I always used to say, and it was, if the best pitch is the most committed pitch, even if it gets hit out of the park. Because what you can't do is be in between. I don't know if I should throw this pitch. What if I hang it? And never have a negative thought when you're on the mound. The pitcher catcher is kind of like the caddy for the professional golfer. If a caddy says to a professional golfer, "Don't hit it right," that caddy isn't going to have a job very long. If he tells him commands of what to do, that's pretty much what a catcher does. Entices the pitcher to get the best out of him.
You know, I was watching a documentary once about two tennis players that grew up together, became famous pros, and they knew everything about each other's game. And I remember him saying, one of the tennis players in the documentary, it was a game of, I know what I'm going to do, but he knows what I'm going to do.
Right.
But he knows that I know what he's going to do. And so it was this chess match of how many times do I play it forward.
That's right.
Until you're losing yourself, I imagine, at some point into an indecisiveness.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's the ultimate, once you have so many at-bats against somebody, it's exactly that. And I'll never forget taking Brian McCann, a rookie at the time, through his first postseason game with me, and I said, here's what's going to happen in the first inning. Craig Biggio is going to swing at the first three sliders, and we're going to throw all sliders. I walked him through the first inning, and it happened exactly that, and he looked at me like, no, I said, that's years of experience of just knowing that, right? Now, Craig could have just as easily hit the slider for a homer if I hung it. But that's what I loved about pitching. I used to tell my family, 4 days, you can ask me anything you want. The day I pitch, I have 120 decisions I need to make. And I want to store up all that energy for that 120 decisions because that's 120 pitches I'm going to make.
You know what I heard one time? You know why Steve Jobs wore a white T-shirt and jeans every day? The idea is that willpower and the ability to make a decision is a finite resource. And if you waste decisions, in his estimation, on, for example, fashion choices, you exhaust that finite resource. So to your point, he was saying you only have so many big decisions you can make in a day. Save them for what's important.
There's a lot of truth to that. And I know, starting pitchers always get grief like, oh, big deal. You work once every 5 days. How hard could that be? It's the greatest job in the world, by the way. It's just that much stored up energy so that you could go long enough to be able to be what we call, effectively making the right decisions. We're always striving for the perfect 120 pitches, and it's rare that you get that kind of moment, but that's what we're trying to do.
Did you ever achieve that?
Almost. I made one bad decision, lost a no-hitter in the ninth inning, and my former catcher Greg Olson always let me know about me shaking him off.
John, again, back to that moment with your dad in the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. If I take you back to the field, and I know you told me also it's those Little League games, it's those traveling with your parents, but if you take me back to the field of your Major League career, I think I'm going to limit you to your Major League career.
Yeah.
Is there one game?
There is. It's Game 7 in Minnesota. I lived it. I dreamed it. I always wanted to be a Major League pitcher pitching in the greatest games. And I pitched in Lansing, Michigan, where I grew up. I threw 107th games in my mind in front of my house. We had a brick wall and a rubber ball, and I put a strike zone right there. And my parents let me do that. They just wouldn't let me go in the street because I wanted to back up as I got older, but they said, stay on the curb. And I literally played it out in my mind. I'm a big believer. I'll probably get these words mixed up. If you don't think it, you won't believe it. If you don't believe it, you'll never achieve it. And there's a dream in there that, if you never dream it, you'll never achieve it. And I think we've lost as a young generation the ability to dream and to think things through before they happen and really set out lofty goals, because we have a world that tells us, nah, you can't do that, you won't be able to achieve that. And I did that as a kid. Nobody stopped me. My parents gave me the opportunity to do it. And when I walked on the mound in Game 7, people ask me all the time, what was that like? I went back to a 10-year-old in Lansing, Michigan, throwing a ball. I said, I've already done this.
That's what I was going to say. You imagined it.
Yeah, and it lived up absolutely to the way I thought it would.
Why do you think we've lost that?
There's just too much technology and too many people trying to tell you what they already know. And, kids don't go to a park because they got to have everything done for them, because we live in a world where the imagination is gone with our phone, gone with technology. I love creating opportunities to where I created games. I made up games. Me and my buddy made games up. And that's
to that point,
gone.
Kids are practicing 7 days a week,
right.
12 months a year. There's not a lot of time to dream in your backyard. You got to get to your pitching coach.
Yeah, we're actually doing a project in Lansing, Michigan called Strikeout Baseball, and it's a generational thing that most kids today don't know what that is. And basically, you get a wall, which was a chimney for us, a strike zone, and we put cones out to determine single, double, triple, homer based on what you hit it. So it's one-on-one baseball. And we're going to create a small baseball stadium that creates 5-on-5 to 1-on-1 and try to give kids the opportunity to just play pickup baseball. That's the hardest sport to play, pickup. You need 9-on-9.
Right.
And it really is, parks and places to do them are gone. So I think that part I wish kids could really experience the opportunity to create a game, to think creatively, and more importantly, to dream big. And we've kind of lost that a little bit.
One more question before we bring the conversation full circle. You brought up Aaron Judge. Will he break whichever home run record we want to choose, the non-steroid era or even the overall home run record?
I think he's got a good chance for the American League record. I really do. I don't know that he can get to the level that is recorded currently, but I think Aaron Judge in this era, and there's so much talk about the baseball being a little bit dead in this year, advantage Aaron Judge. He's big, he's strong, and it hasn't slowed him down.
Okay, let's bring the conversation, like I said, full circle to Field of Dreams. Why is it, in your estimation, the best movie about baseball? And if so, why?
I think just because you can go in so many areas of that movie and touch something that applies to you, whether it's perseverance, dreaming big, some of the things we just said, or that father-son one more chance. Not everyone's going to have that perfect relationship, but it touches you in a way where if you really dig deep into the movie, how much of it really is about baseball, even though it is talked about in an era that was so long ago, it's applicable as time moves on. I think it's a priceless movie that if these little kids, which the coaches are going to make them watch it today, they still can get something out of that, even though it's a different time and generation.
I just cannot tell you how much I appreciate. Not only I would have appreciated this conversation if you hadn't have told me what you've experienced in the last 12 hours, but I just can't tell you how honored and appreciative I am that you spend this time with me and talking to us on this day at this place.
Well,
thank you, John.
Thank you. My dad would, he's smiling right now.
Thanks, man.
You got it.
I mean it. Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain Podcast for full episodes right now.